Is this the next Girl in the Dragon Tattoo series that's set for a failure to launch? Or will Jude Law train Blake Lively and tell her to control her emotions?
Control it.
Well, guys, we're about to find out. Stay tuned. Let's sit down. Let's talk about the newest film that just came out. It's called The Rhythm Section.
Even if you succeed, it won't be worth it.
I'll make her his streets, walking the streets.
You promised me you won't do nothing silly. Why are you here?
To offer you closure.
And how would you do that?
Violently.
Blake Lively delivers an impressive lead performance, but The Rhythm Section plods predictably through a story that could have used some flashier riffs. Okay, guys, so that's the critic consensus, and the critics' reports are in. It's currently holding on Rotten Tomatoes, 32% from critics and 32% from audiences. You guys know I'm always so pleased when critics and audiences are like in tandem with each other, or we're on the same page, but this is a bit disappointing. 32 and 32, like, that's below an F. That's below failing. So I'm going to resoundingly disagree with that. I'm not saying this is a perfect film, but 32% it certainly is not. So let's start with my expectations for this film. I was pleasantly surprised to learn that Eon Productions, one of the production companies for this film, which is famous for creating the James Bond series of films, and in fact, Barbara Broccoli was attached as a producer for this movie. So I was totally surprised and impressed and excited to know that, okay, we got Barbara Broccoli here. She's going to be delivering like a James Bond-esque type story for a female protagonist. And even more so, after watching the trailers, seeing Blake Lively on screen and what the tone and narrative suggests I should expect, I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be a very much grounded in reality, not an overpowered Mary Sue who's bam, bam, skinny AF and just beating the crap out of like dudes who are like 4 times her size. Like, I really despise that kind of action if it's set in a realistic setting. So fortunately enough, this was not the case with The Rhythm Section. So let's start with our pros for the movie. I'm going to go right off on this tangent regarding the realism of this film. I found it super awesome that Blake Lively portrays a character that's very vulnerable, very clumsy, oftentimes, if not every time, in the execution of her espionage duties when she's out in field. She's very much not a Mary Sue. She's very much an every woman who, because of certain personal circumstances, has been propelled into the world of espionage and now is seeking a revenge narrative. The action, the fights, the tones, all of that, very much grounded in reality, as much as you could expect from a Hollywood film. Even more so than the Bourne series of films and the most recent James Bond series of film. Very much grounded in reality. I very much appreciated that. However, there are a couple of points I'd like to mention to you that sit in the middle of our Venn diagram of pros and cons. And the first of which has to do with the cinematography. I felt it was very understated. The color palette and tones of the film were a bit muted. And I understood what the director was trying to go for. Wanted a grounded, realistic, kind of gritty film, but I felt like it could have been serviced well by, a little bit more cinematic shots. That being said, again, it's right in the middle. You could take it either way. The last has to do, and of course, this, I think, for me, sits more towards the cons, but I could equally see it sitting right in the middle for general audiences. It has to do with the protagonist. Blake Lively plays a character in this film her backstory is leaving a little bit to be desired. Now, why I say this sits in the middle, I don't need to see an introduction in the movie, 15 to 20 minutes about her backstory, her normal everyday life, doing normal things, only to learn that something tragic happens and that propels her into the current state we're expecting her to be in. We all know the stories as first world audiences, a life of abundance, family, friends, drinking, blah, 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 blah. I get it. So I was pleased to see that this film compressed it into a 5-minute montage in the beginning of the film and then just moved forward with the story. Now, the reason why this sits in the middle is because I feel like towards the end of this film, having completed my journey through the rhythm section, I felt like maybe that was a disservice to the character in terms of really connecting with her and having an emotional connection in terms of the events that do unfold throughout the runtime of this film. Furthermore, moving into cons now, it has to do with the pacing of the film. Wow. Guys, let me know. If you haven't seen this film yet, I'm letting you know. Excuse me. The runtime for this film is 109 minutes. At the end of this movie, I thought, wow, I felt like this was a bit overlong. Just a tad, or perhaps it dragged due to editing or pacing. But, it was a 2 hour, 15-minute movie, so maybe that's just me. Only to learn, no, bro, this is sitting about 10 minutes under 2 hours. So pacing or editing was an issue in this film. Lastly, the other con I felt like was noteworthy mentioning was character motivations. As you know, Blake Lively plays a character, a protagonist in this film, and she is serviced or helped by 2 other supporting actors, or characters rather. Jude Law playing one, which is an espionage. He plays an espionage agent. And then there's another reporter who's an investigative journalist. You're left at the end of this film, and this is an objective statement, wondering, why did they do what they did? What compelled them to help Blake Lively on her path in this movie? It's left unresolved. So, what are my final thoughts on the rhythm section? The rhythm section subtly subverts genre tropes while supported by fantastic action, acting, and directing. The rhythm section is intermittently offbeat with spurts of slow pacing and unresolved character motives. Will there be a sequel that the studios clearly so badly want for this? If this first film is anything to judge by, I'm going to have to say no. So with that out the way, I'm going to give you my score for the rhythm section. It earns a 3.5 out of 5 bags of popcorn. It's a 70%. It passes. It's a competent film. I enjoyed myself. It does have its problems, but in this lackluster month of movie releases that is typical of January, I think the rhythm section stands tall, far and above, of course, other box office bombs like Doolittle or sequel franchises like Bad Boys. So, I say go see it, guys. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's original, it's unique, it merits a viewing. I would support spending money to see this movie. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in to MoviePOP and finding out what's poppin' in cinema. To stay up to date with more awesome movie reviews, news, make sure to subscribe to this channel first. Please, baby, subscribe. Hit the like button there if you like the video. Make sure to leave me your thoughts and comments on this review or anything else movie related. I love to talk to you guys. And of course, remember, every Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have our weekly Weekender. It's our weekly wrap-up of the biggest movie and Hollywood industry news stories, the 10 biggest stories. We wrap them up so you don't have to spend your time during the week. You can get caught up in 1 hour. The live stream happens every Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so come on by. I love talking with you guys. I have the best time doing these live streams, talking with you, and yeah, with that out the way, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fantastic day.